Welcome to another edition of Guest House, Sweet Home for Patients and Families in Chicago. My name is Dionne Nicole Smith. I'm Director of Development, and we're so happy that you're here with us for another episode where we try to bring you into our world and have you listen to some very interesting nonprofits that are out there in the city and determine how maybe you can support them. So, for those who are not aware of what we do and who we are, we provide temporary lodging when individuals need to stay close to the hospital. So we're located right here in the Illinois Medical District. We're right on the corner of Polk and Damon. We reside in a dorm, actually on UIC's campus, but we have 54 fully furnished apartments so that if you're dealing with some kind of condition, some kind of diagnoses, it doesn't matter if you're inpatient or outpatient, perhaps you need to stay with us when your doctor says you need to stay close to the Chicago area hospital where you have your treatment. So the work we do is very important. It's very important when you talk about healthcare equity. So we're proud to be able to share with you every month something new that maybe you need to think about. So, saying all of that, I am really excited to have with me this month two wonderful people who are connected with an organization that is a special partner of ours. So I can't help but be excited to welcome Maura and Katy, who are with Urban Autism Solutions. They're our special guests tonight. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, we're so happy they're here, and I can't wait to get into the discussion because for those of us that are watching, we always want to elevate the conversation. We want to educate all of those who are out here viewing our program. So, Katy, I'm going to start with basics because people hear Urban Autism Solutions. The word that jumps out is autism. And for those of us, maybe you're aware, maybe you're not aware, but it would be great if we educated our audience members and just gave them some basic definitions and help them understand what is autism. What does it mean when you hear someone is on the autism spectrum? What are those things? What do they mean?
Yeah. So autism stands for autism spectrum disorders, and it's a neurological and developmental disorder that can affect how people communicate, interact, learn, and in general experience the world. And I think the word to focus on there is spectrum because that really is what I like to use to describe autism because every individual experiences autism differently. So it is quite hard to define. And every individual has a different level of support needs that come along with the diagnosis. So we work with individuals, some who are very high support needs and need a little bit more assistance with daily living skills like cooking and cleaning. And then we also, you can have an autism diagnosis and have pretty low support needs and live independently from day to day. And so my favorite phrase that I like to throw out there is that if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism.
I love that.
And I think that's a great way to approach the world. And when you meet someone new with autism, to keep an open mind and really remember that everybody experiences autism differently.
That is just, thank you for saying all of that because I think on a basic level, that's what we all need to understand when you meet someone with autism. They are an individual. They don't represent everyone who has that particular
condition.
Yes, they don't. And I think about my colleague where I worked before I came to the guest house. I had the pleasure of working for another very large nonprofit, and one of my colleagues has an adult son who is on the autism spectrum. And I just appreciated so much when she would bring him to work, depending on what was going on with his particular program that he was a part of. But sometimes she would have to bring him to work. And I loved when he was in our office because he was very much the artist. And I said, okay, you tell me what makes things best for him. What is he like? What is he not like? What's happening? What do we want? And it was great to be able to interact and say, okay, what are we working on today? What's the art project? What's happening? And everybody's different. Everybody's a unique creature. Everybody is a unique individual. And I love the fact that that's definitely what you highlighted. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and thank you, because it sounds like you did exactly what I would recommend in that situation.
Yeah.
You were interacting with your coworker's son, and you said, what can I do to make you comfortable and help make things successful for you? And I think a big thing that we're very passionate about as an organization, and I am as well, is that there's this stigma out there, and it's just not true. Autistic individuals can live thriving, fulfilled, wonderful lives.
Thank you.
And we can all be a part of that. So you already did that naturally, which is just wonderful.
I love that. I love that.
Yes.
So, Maura, please help us understand, what is the mission behind Urban Autism Solutions? Why is it so important? Why do the people of Chicago and all those who are able to watch this program, why do they need to know about Urban Autism Solutions?
Well, we are seeking to change outcomes for young adults with autism. So our focus is on young adults, ages 16 to 22, often an age group that gets overlooked. There's a lot of focus on children with autism these days. And once young adults are transitioning into adulthood, they lose a lot of the services that are available to them through the Chicago public school system or other services. So what we're trying to do is primarily prepare these young adults for life after 22. And we do that by providing job readiness skills. So there will be some, like we said, it's a spectrum. There'll be some young adults in our program that will most likely go on to get a job, their first job in many cases. So we teach job readiness skills. These are soft skills. So not only resume building and mock interviews, but also soft skills, skills that help them communicate better with the world, socialize with everybody. And then we also teach life skills. So we have a track for those young adults that may not be job ready, but we want to teach them to become more independent and autonomous. And then what I really love is we want to make sure that we are connecting the individuals in our program to the community and connecting them to help them socially. So we have a really thriving social networking program too that helps them to connect. We don't want, once they don't have services in school, we don't want them sitting at home feeling isolated. And that happens so often with young adults who have autism. They're misunderstood. They're, and they end up like really needing to find their place in the world. And we want to make that easier for them. So we have a lot of activities. We open up our space and let young adults, we have, I don't know, maybe over 100, 150 adults that know about us, and they're waiting for the next meetup that we're having. And we're really making a difference in that regard too.
And I was just going to ask you about that. Okay, so you pulled out a couple things that I want to dig into. You mentioned Chicago Public Schools.
Yes.
How is that involved with the work that you do?
Yeah, we work alongside transition schools. So Chicago Public School transition high schools, and in some cases high schools. But so these are our students will stay longer up until they're 22. And a lot of the resources in CPS, a lot of our northern suburbs and our western suburbs have a lot of resources, but we know that on the northwest, the west side of Chicago, the south side of Chicago, it's harder. So we coexist with CPS. We actually work very, very closely with them.
That's great.
They go to school and then they come with their teachers and their staff to Urban Autism Solutions. And we support what the CPS schools are already helping them to do. So we provide a lot of real world experience for these young adults. We also have this incredible farm called the Growing Growing Solutions Farm. I know you've been on it.
I love it.
And it is our gem. It's our vocational training site. So we really use the farm to reinforce those skills that we're teaching these students at our Westside Transition Academy. And they come to the farm and they're learning skills like, how to interact with your boss, who's our Jenny, our farmer Jenny.
I love that.
We have this great interdisciplinary staff made up of mostly clinicians, so speech language pathologists. We have social workers, behavioral therapists, and so we really approach our work from helping them, develop some of the skills that, again, they don't get a lot of support, at home or at school. They can't. I mean, it's hard, right? The schools have a tough time with that, and so we want to support them. We have a beautiful relationship with CPS and schools that we work with.
It's so impressive. The work that you do is so impressive, and I know that how we actually came to this moment, the two of us met when we were on the farm.
Yes, we did.
And we struck up a conversation and became fast friends. And it was funny because I was so excited about knowing that there was a farm in the neighborhood.
In the area, yeah.
This farm, Growing Solutions Farm, for all of you watching, is right here in the Illinois Medical District. It's literally blocks away from where our location is, so we can walk to the farm. This is a farm that all of you can actually support and benefit from. Your farm stand is usually open, May through
It'll open on May 27th, and it's open Wednesdays and Fridays. So Wednesdays from 10 to 2, and then Fridays from 2 to 6. And our students do everything from the whole process at the farm, everything from preparing the soil to seeding to harvesting, washing and packing, and also to selling at our on-site farm stand. So, it's really a beautiful thing. We grow over 50 different vegetables, herbs. I should say they grow.
Right.
The students grow. And
You're sometimes out there, weeding.
I like the sensory garden and the
your hands
pollinator
dirty.
garden. I'm good with weeding, but that's about it. But it's really wonderful. And the way we connected was really beautiful as well, because we talked about, we donate a lot of our produce. So our students and their family can have as much produce from the farm as they want. We also donate to food pantries like the Maura house and have a great relationship with them as well. And we started providing some of our produce to the guest house.
That's right.
And then it was like, wait a minute, we have internships. Could we send a group of our young adults, our students to the guest house? We really want to teach them about civic duties and about giving back as well. And so now every week, without fail, on Thursdays, is it every other week? Every other week, we send a group of our students, and they prepare foods for the guests that you have at the guest house, and they get so much out of that as well.
And I love the fact that you're mentioning this, because one reason why we're having this conversation is because April is National Volunteer Month. And as Maura just mentioned, we have young people who come and volunteer their time, but it's really an internship, but they're volunteering their time. They're learning skills. They're learning how to create baked goods and figure things out, which is invaluable. But April is also World Autism Awareness Month. So we're here because it's a great chance for you all to learn more about the work that they're doing, which is so valuable, and how we all are working together, which all of you out there, I know there's some way that you can give back. There's some way that you can volunteer with someone. Maybe it's guest house, maybe it's Urban Autism Solutions. But think about the ways that you can give back as you go along your life, and especially with all the changes that are happening too, federally, all the changes that are happening, a lot of you have to consider using some of your time to volunteer. So this is a perfect opportunity for you to consider these wonderful organizations. So I'm very curious. How did you all even get involved with this type of work? Katy, what led you to Urban Autism Solutions?
So mine is kind of full circle IMD.
Yeah? Okay.
I am actually a speech pathologist.
Oh,
and
I love that.
Yeah. And I went to grad school at Rush.
Oh,
so in 2019, I was a grad student at Urban Autism Solutions.
Oh, okay.
And then about 3.5 years ago, when the program manager role became available at Urban Autism Solutions,
Oh, I love that.
Julie Tracy, one of the founders, reached out to me and said, "Hey, I think that you would be a good fit for this role."
Oh, I love that.
And I said, I've been waiting. I love this place. It's such a special place,
Yes,
and I have
it
been
is.
waiting
Yes, it
to
is.
find a way to be involved. And I think the thing that makes me so passionate about it is the fact that transition age students and young adults with autism are so underserved.
Right.
And there's so
Exactly.
many, kids clinics and kids activities, and autistic individuals still exist
That's
when you're
right.
18,
That's
when you're
right.
22,
That's
when you're
right.
30.
That's
So
right.
what we do is so important, and that's why I was on board right away.
I love it. I love it. And Maura, how did you get to Urban Autism Solutions?
I, again, big shout out, by the way, to Julie and Mike Tracy, who are founders, and they are just such wonderful and dynamic people. And I had met Julie and Mike and their previous executive director and learned a little bit about what they did. And I just fell in love with the mission. And I had just left corporate America. So I had been in corporate America for like 20, 25 years.
Okay.
Sales, marketing, and all of that. But originally, early on in my career, I was in the Peace Corps, and I did development work out in the
Love
Dominican
it.
Republic and Haiti. And somehow I got
that.
into corporate America, but knew that I was going to come full circle. So they asked me to be on their board of directors, and I was on their board for 3 years, and just loved it. And then the opportunity, came about to become the executive director, and I really wanted to get in there in the operations and then, be doing the work. And so I came on board, I guess, January of 2023. So about 3 years, a little over 3 years. Yeah. We have a young organization too. So I think I would say probably 80% of the people at Urban Autism Solutions have been, we've been growing too, but have been there for maybe only 3 years.
Oh, wow. That is something.
Yeah.
How long have you been in existence?
2012 is when Julie and Mike, they started. And it's a beautiful story.
That's
they started
wonderful.
because their son, John, was turning 22, and they were really worried about the future. They didn't like anything they saw for where they wanted, or where he wanted to live. And so they went all over the United States looking at different opportunities for John, and they didn't find something that they were comfortable with, so they created their own. And so they chose this area because they wanted to be near Rush, good medical. They wanted to be near university, near UIC, and always have that a part of, of their life. And they started this organization really with John and a couple of other people. And now we have over, I guess, 225 young adults coming to our day program. And we have a large network of...
And our Sunday social event last week had 44 and was busting at the seams. So there's such a demand for these opportunities.
I'm sure there are. And Katy, that's what I was just going to ask you. As program manager, what are you overseeing? Like, what types of programs are the young people dealing with?
Yeah, so I primarily oversee the CPS partnerships that we have. So I do a lot of communications with teachers and finding new schools and things like that. And then we have our social worker, Jim, who oversees a bit more of the social programs. But in general, we have kind of our, vocational track, like Maura mentioned, our life skills track, which is pretty cool. It's actually a functioning townhouse in Little Italy.
Ooh,
So
I love that.
some of our schools don't have kitchens and things that students can practice these skills in. So it's pretty cool. They can come to us and get those functional skill practices. And then I also help with the programming at the farm and getting everyone scheduled there. So, and I always tell students when we go to get them a job, they're like, I don't have any experience. Nobody's going to want to hire me. And I say, yes, you do.
Yes, they do.
You have been to guest house and you have been at the farm and you have done a job and worked well and built these skills. And those are things that you can put on your resume, which is so powerful.
Exactly. So how does that even work, though, with CPS? Do you go to them? Do they come to you? How does that work in terms of finding new young adults that are part of the program?
Honestly, it's mostly word of mouth. I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's impressive.
Yes.
That's how we feel about Guest House.
Yes.
We've been around for over 25 years, but it's still word of mouth with our social workers with the hospital. So that's really encouraging, though.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I think, some schools have started to come to us because funding for other organizations has started to be cut. And so we, this year, have had, I think, 2 or 3 new schools that have come to us and are working with us.
Okay, I was just going to ask that question, so I'm glad you brought it up. How are you able to do what you do? How are you able to stay in existence, especially considering how many of us in this nonprofit space have been affected by federal cuts and what have you?
Yeah.
How do you navigate that?
Well, thank goodness we don't have federal funding, so
Okay.
I'm glad we don't have to deal with that. We have wonderful support from the state, from our representatives in the area,
that's
Senator
wonderful.
Collins, shout out to her, and Representative
Lakeisha
Morris and Lakeisha Collins.
Yes.
And, they really make sure that they provide the support
great.
through the state. So, and that's state, general fund. So we get some public funding, and then the rest is really foundations and corporations and individuals that help support what we do. We don't charge for our services at all, so we don't depend
That's
on
huge.
program fees or anything
huge.
like that. And so, but it's been harder. I mean, we felt the pinch as well, in a sense that everybody seems to be now going towards, the same foundations, the same organizations that give. And we're lucky because being in the IMD, being with you and Easter Seals and the Chicago Lighthouse, we are really like one big family, and we all support and help each other. And that's what it's about at the end of the day, So we're very lucky that we're growing.
Yes.
I agree.
And our services are very much needed. So we find the way.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So is there anything you want to share with our viewers before we end our program on how they can support Urban Autism Solutions?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd love everybody to go check out our website. It's www.urbanautismsolutions.com. We have a lot of stuff going on in the summer because we have our farm up and running. So we have community-supported agriculture, opportunity to buy some of our subscriptions there. We have, like we said, come to the on-site stand on Wednesday or Fridays. We have this wonderful event, which I hope you're coming to, Carrots and Cocktails. So it's a big garden party. I think last year we had about 250 people come. So that's at our farm. Our farm is off Harrison. So it's on Leavitt. It's on Campbell Park Drive, but off Harrison and Leavitt or Leavitt. I always say Leavitt. And so, or just check out the services that we have and come visit us.
Yes, stop on by the farm.
When you come visit the farm or our Westside Transition Academy, you really see our mission come to life.
Yes, I agree. And please give our viewers your website.
Yes, so it's www.urbanautismsolutions.com.
And I so appreciate you, Katy and Maura, for coming today and being my guest this evening. And for those of you who are out here and you're listening to us and you follow us every month, please consider volunteering.
Yes.
Consider giving back. It's so important. It doesn't have to be every week. It could be once a month. It could be a couple times a year. Don't forget, you can make a difference in someone's life. And as you want to make a difference, we have a fundraiser coming up and at the end of the month called The House Always Wins on Monday, April 27th at the Fabulous Carnival Restaurant from 6:30 to 9:30. So feel free to go to guesthousechicago.org to find more information. You can just click Get Involved under Special Events, and that will lead you to the event website. But it's a wonderful event, wonderful way to party with the purpose on a Monday night. What better way to have fun on a Monday night, right? So we definitely want you to consider, if you want to, we're still accepting, we still are selling some more tickets, so you can come and join us. It'll be a wonderful group of people, and I definitely hope that you are inspired by what you heard this evening. And just remember, you're always a friend at the guest house. You're always a guest, so come and visit us.